What it do? It's your boy Old Two, and you back at it doing the most, but it's not a Fortnite episode. I know. It's a big surprise. In honor of June being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, I would like to touch on a very personal topic of mine and one that has not hit my channel yet. And that is bipolar disorder. I think a lot of people, it used to be called manic depressive disorder. I think a lot of people don't really understand what it is, how it affects people. Um, and I'm trying to bring a little bit of education and awareness about it so that you guys are more informed and that empathy can grow out of this and understanding at the very least. Uh, so let's hop into it. I've done a little bit of research, but I'm going to share my own experiences because I myself suffer from mixed bipolar 1 disorder, which is the worst one. If any of you bipolar people, not bipolar, that's wrong. People suffering from bipolar disorder, y'all probably know it's the worst one because there's three types, really. There's probably more than that, but there's three main ones. So there's bipolar 1 disorder, which is a mix between mania, highs and lows, but it isn't just highs and lows. We're going to get into that a little deeper with my personal experience. But then there's bipolar 2, which is mainly hypomanic. There'll be bouts of depression and then coming out of it, and then bouts of depression. Uh, and then there's mixed, where you can have both mania and depressive symptoms at the same time, which are extremely dangerous, very dangerous. So, you're gonna ask, well, what is bipolar? I clicked on this. You either know or you don't. And if you don't, I can tell you. So it is a mental health and mood disorder where the brain isn't functioning properly. A lot of people say that this. I was raised in a very religious household and community. You're not praying enough. You're not close enough to God. This, that. You listen to smut. You watch smut. That's why your life is how it is. Lies. I'll tell you why. So bipolar disorder is a combination of. I'll just get off on the rip of the science of it real quick. Doctors have scanned tons of people with bipolar disorder and have discovered, and this is semi-new. Let me get to the right note card that I wrote this down on. This is semi-new discovery. Um, but they had found that there was thinner gray matter in the prefrontal cortex of the brain and the temporal cortex part of the brain, thinner gray matter. That is the part of your brain that uh, controls your reasoning and decision making. That's why one of the symptoms of bipolar disorder is risk taking behaviors. You're very impulsive, very in both speech. Your speech can be rapid, impulsively. Maybe spending. We have a lot of bipolar people with bipolar disorder have trouble with money. Um, you see how I kind of fidget, and I haven't taken due from my medication, but a lot of times it takes a lot of energy. So I'm going to run through the symptoms real quick. But before I do, I want to give you some statistics on bipolar disorder. So it's a mood disorder where your mood can fluctuate. Yes, you can go up and down. And mine, you can have them at the same time, which is where suicidal ideation comes in and stuff. You can have grand ideas and also feel like, let's just be honest, shit at the same time. Did you know that 2.6% of Americans, just Americans, I'm not even going to do globally because let's worry about our own country right now. We're in a crisis. But 2.6% of Americans suffer from bipolar disorder annually. That accounts for about roughly 5.7 million Americans. Now you're thinking, well, that's 300. We have 300 something million Americans. But still, 5.7 million, yeah, 5.7 million Americans, guys. That's a lot of people. I'm one of them. That's insane. Did you know that people that suffer from bipolar disorder are up to 30 times more likely that they have a higher risk of committing suicide. 30 up to 30% higher than just your average person of committing suicide. We're going to get to that part too of why. Up to 20% of untreated bipolar disorder people, and this probably includes some treated, die by suicide. That's 1 in 5 untreated bipolar people with bipolar disorder die by suicide. And we want to talk about the soldiers, and I respect and honor the soldiers. I promise. I have an uncle that served in the Marines. I have a lot of family members that have served in in the armed forces for the United States, and I appreciate everyone's service. But we have people out here suffering, man. Up to 30%, and then 20% of them untreated. 1 in 5 die by suicide. Between 20 and all the way up to 60% have at least attempted suicide or will attempt suicide once in their life, at least once. Up to 60%. That should alarm you guys. But let's go on. This is even crazier. Up to 79% will at one point during their disorder have suicidal ideation, meaning they thought about committing suicide. Tell me that's not a little bit alarming. A little wild, ain't it, guys? I'll even go into another statistic. Bipolar. So I'm a recovering alcoholic. Thank goodness. Friday will be 2.5 years. But bipolar people are up to 60% more likely than the average, Gen population to abuse, have substance use disorder of some kind. We call that addiction, 60% higher. And the drug of choice, I've looked it up. I've read tons of articles. Alcohol is the bipolar disorder person's drug of choice. Now they also use cannabis. It's not just there's the gamut. Don't get me wrong. It's not a one size fits all. But what I have read through research is most of them prefer alcohol, which is not surprising because I'm an alcoholic, recovering, always in recovery. I always have to talk through it, and that's the thing. So we're gonna get into some of the symptoms. I know some of y'all want to know really what it's like. I'm gonna list off some of the things I wrote down, but also elaborate on them and how they've affected me in my life. So, a lot of them, we can go with the obvious ones that people probably could name off the top of their head in a trivia game. Grand ideas. There's grandiose thoughts. You'll think like, you'll have these grand ideas. A lot of times I do. I see myself, I've written 6 novels to date, and 4 are out for sale on Amazon. You can find them in my links underneath my bio, and 2 more are coming out later this year. But I have seen myself in high places. I've seen myself at big events signing books and stuff. So yeah, the grandiose ideas and thoughts and like inflated self-esteem is a real thing. But coupled with I'm not seeing the results now, or I haven't been seeing the results since I published the first book in 2022. It gets frustrating and aggression comes out. So there's mixed feelings. You can go anywhere from being happy or just okay to angry, upset, tearful, depressed, agitated. A lot of bipolar people with bipolar disorder feel misunderstood. We're not very good because of our frontal cortex not functioning properly, and it's got thinner gray matter, so it's obviously not as strong as normal people. We have a hard time conveying our feelings, I guess, effectively. I don't want to say correctly, but effectively. Depression, racing thoughts. That's definitely me. Hyperfixating on something. You might repeat, I call it the Groundhog's Day effect. You might rehash the same topic over and over and over with your husband or your wife or your brother or something, whoever you live with or your loved ones. Um, Anxiety is a big one, man. I think it's the reason why I have panic disorder and general anxiety disorder and stuff. I don't know if I mentioned rapid speech. I think I did earlier. Insomnia, lacking a need for sleep. I suffer terribly from insomnia. I have to take medication for it and some herbal supplements, and some stuff. I will not, I can't sleep without medication and some herbs and stuff to help me relax. Feeling worthless to the world. That's one that's personal to me a lot of times. A lot of times I feel like people don't care, and I know it's my brain, but I still have to deal with that. And a lot of times, it makes me antisocial. I'm a very talkative person, very talkative. If you're one of my friends, if somebody's ever hung out with me that I'm cool with, they know that I talk my head off. So if I'm not talking around you, I'm probably dealing with some things in my head. Another thing that, at least for me, I can't speak for every person suffering from bipolar disorder, but we like to multitask. We like to have our hands in, we only have two hands, but we like to have our hands in multiple pots. I've got a canvas sitting upstairs waiting to be painted. I'm about to start writing my seventh novel to date. I'm also making gaming content, Fortnite content, as you see behind here. Subscribe to O2 Does the Most on YouTube. While also I'm about to get a state job, guys. Like among other things that I'm doing, I clean the house once a week. I'm very OCD-ish. I want things in order. Um, so that multitasking, it comes with feelings of being overwhelmed, and that can get me agitated. Feeling misunderstood. If somebody doesn't agree with me, I tend to get angry or upset, or I distance myself from people like that. And it's really due to a chemical imbalance, and our prefrontal cortex and our temporal cortex is thinner than the general population. MRI scans, go Google, it's a Google search away for you guys. Um, so, we feel on a deep level, though. It isn't that we don't feel. We have emotion, we have empathy, probably as much, if not more so, than the general population. Um, and this is why it's a disorder. It's our brain is not functioning properly. Um, Let me see. Appetite changes. There's times where you'll eat a ton, and there'll be times where you'll starve yourself on purpose. And you just, I won't say on purpose, but you'll starve yourself for no reason. Like I said, aggression can come into it. Just you name the mood, it can be there. The mania feels like, especially the mixed episodes, the mania feels it's hell. I'll just say that. I know the Christians have a hell that they describe. This is much worse. I would prefer to burn in a lake of fire than deal with some days when I'm having my mixed mania episodes. Um, but I'm not going to stop there in all the negativity of it. So yes, we like to hyperfixate. Yes, we're impulsive. Yes, we're very moody. We wear our hearts on our sleeve and we can't help it. Medication. So what I'm going to get into real quick is if you are showing any of these signs, these all have to be occurring for, I think, more than 7 days. And it has to be three symptoms on both the manic side and the depressive side. Go see a doctor about it, man. Get medication. I'm on medication. I'm not going to divulge my medication because that is a personal thing, but definitely see a doctor, man. Like I said, 20%, one in five people with undiagnosed bipolar disorder kill themselves by suicide. They commit suicide. So it's imperative to go see a doctor. It is okay. There is nothing wrong with it. We need to end the stigma about mental health and us being crazy, that we're nutcases, that we're nobodies, that we're outcasts. I speak for all the outcasts out there, for the lonely people, for the people that are struggling, the poor, uh, the poor in spirit too, not just financially. Uh, I speak for people that feel misunderstood, that feel like no one cares when people care. Because you can be in a room full of people and they all care about you, and you even know it, but you don't really feel it at the time. I'm speaking on behalf of these people, and I think they would agree with me. So have some empathy, but real quick, uh, let me tell you a little bit about bipolar people. There is a positive, and this is what I think a lot of people miss about the us that suffer from bipolar disorder. We are one of the most creative groups in the world. There's names like Leonardo da Vinci. Everybody knows who he is. Was He suffered from bipolar disorder. I want to even say, I'm not, don't quote me on it. Edgar Allan Poe, he at least suffered from depression, but possibly. Kanye West, the new album that he put out, WW, I know it was World War III, but the Kanye West with his new album looked crazy. He done that interview in a robe of, like, y'all know what I'm talking about. Kanye West, Mariah Carey, remember Carrie Fisher from Star Wars? She had bipolar disorder. Mel Gibson, you're like, oh yeah, he's a whack job. Yeah, Mel Gibson suffered from. Everybody knows the singer from Nirvana, Kurt Cobain. He suffered from bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder, though, people that suffer from it are usually more creative because our minds are always the racing thoughts and stuff. I will speak at least for myself on this. Because of my racing thoughts and this overactive mind, I have a hyper vivid imagination. So I make tons. I write my story. I write stories. I do content. On YouTube. I paint, I draw, I do all forms of art, you name it, tattoos. Um, so we are very creative. That is a plus. And it's not that we're actually have a lower IQ. It's just that our reasoning part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, like I said, is a little jacked up. And it's very genetic. It runs in families. I'm not going to tell who in my family has it, but it runs in my family. That is one of the main factors. It is definitely inherited, but also factors like environmental factors, trauma can help contribute to this. And it usually doesn't start showing up until you're in your 20s. But looking back, mine started probably in my teenage years, and it didn't really get really manifest till my 20s, really. But I started seeing signs of impulsive behavior, acting out at work, getting fired from one of my first job from acting a fool, pretty much. I'm not gonna get into the story of that, but so yeah, that's a little bit more. That's a little bit more information than you probably had beforehand on bipolar disorder and what it's about, and that help is out there. And I will say this: rehab is great. People suffering from addiction and stuff. Rehab is great for some people, and the psych wards are great for some people, but they're not always great. I have told myself that I would never go back to jail, rehab, or any kind of institution because they are that bad. They mistreat you. They don't care about your medication. They don't care how you feel. They really don't. I've been to jail. I won't name the mental health places in my town for privacy reasons. I've been to all these places, these rehabs. Um, Thankfully, I'm 2.5 years sober Friday from alcohol. That was my big Achilles heel. They only help. Here's the grand saying that I hope you all get. If you don't take nothing else away from this video, take this from me. Someone suffering from addiction or an issue is not, or they're not going to quit until they are ready. You can force them in. My parents forced me into jail so many times. It was insane. And every time I got out, I continued to drink. People are only going to change when they are ready to change. Remember that. And have some empathy for people, man. You don't know what's going on in others' minds, behind people's eyes, what's going on in their head. So please consider other people, man. This is literally an educational video, and it's kind of to share a little bit about me and who I am. Uh, I'm also a musician. I make music and stuff. I sing. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. O2 really does the most. But I appreciate you guys watching. I am gonna do more mental health episodes. I thought this one was near and dear to my heart since it has affected me probably the worst throughout the years. And I didn't find out I had it until I looked through my doctor's notes like 2 or 3 years ago. So it's pretty crazy. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next mental health episode. Check out my Fortnite content. Peace out. Have a good day.